Hey, we are tWoTcast, episode 376. I think that's right.
No, he does not.
No. Okay.
All right, everyone, shut the up. Let's ready to record.
We like to start every show by yelling, "We are tWoTcast." Can you do that with me? On the count of 1, 2, 3, go. We are tWoTcast. Now we can start.
The Wheel of Time, reread podcast, explicit in R, freaking rated. Jono's the wild card, always talking shit. Joe's the straight man, he's a total dick. Tom is still obsessed with X-Men.
Previously on X-Men.
We are
Jono, did you know that this is a tWoTcast that are now viewing, and that we're a Wheel of Time reread podcast, and we're now covering season 2 of the Wheel of Time?
I didn't have a sheet in front of me, so no, I do not know that.
Well, with me as always is Jono.
Jono!
And I'm Joe, and Tom's not here, which is probably good because
He's a dick.
he hates the show, and I know Matt doesn't. And Matt's our first guest, so let's bring in the innkeeper, Matt Hatch.
Hey, welcome. Thanks for having me.
Hi.
Yeah. Tom's not a fan, huh?
Tom is not a fan.
Oh no!
If you know Tom, you know he's at best a complete asshole, and at worst, a massive and just huge asshole. It makes sense. It's kind of a par for the course. It's very on brand for him.
I like your intro. Like, it's really helpful. Like, it's
really spells out our roles.
Yeah, it really digs into what this is and what this is going
Yeah.
to be tonight. So I love it.
Yeah.
I love that you don't hide it, which is
No.
which is good.
Yeah, we started out. We wanted to be very true to ourselves and our very unfortunate natures.
Yeah, I think I wrote on Discord. I was like, this is a very rated MA show, or very, very immature, or both, something like that. It's
I always thought it to be an ironic juxtaposition, right? It does seem that way.
Let's bring out our second guest as well. It's
yes, please do.
who I guess you guys just saw each other in person. Maria
We did.
There she is.
Hi, Maria.
hello.
Hi.
You guys aren't clapping? Wow.
I did this beforehand.
No, that's
Sorry.
fine.
Technically, it's too backhand. Yeah. Hi, Maria.
Matt's high horses in the first 30 seconds of our own show.
Yeah.
So you guys just saw each other in Charleston? How was it?
It was
It was
grand.
It was
A grand old time.
At Ogar Con.
Ogar Con. Yeah,
Tell us about Ogar Con. Is it on Ogar Street?
it's very close.
That was my first
Very
question,
close.
actually.
Yeah.
We did visit and took pictures of Ogier Street. We actually ran into someone who I think might have run into the group that was there last year for Ogier Con, because he's like, a lot of people stop by here and take pictures of this, and I think he like knew that it was related to an author. He's like, yeah, I've heard this is like a really popular street, and he's like. And it was funny because we didn't have anybody to take the picture. We're trying to figure out how to set up a camera. And he was like, want me to take a picture? So good timing. Whoever was there.
Good timing,
Did he
stranger.
take his own picture first?
Yeah, that's what we should have done, right?
Was he
Just like one of the, like, is this
tall?
good? And it's a picture of a monkey.
Yeah.
How
Exactly.
tall was this being on Ogar Street that you saw?
He was not that tall, actually.
Oh, that's disappointing. Belied the name. So this is the second year of Ogar Con, yeah?
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And thank you. Always
It's
good.
put on by the fine friends of mine and podcasters. The Lights Work. So they do a fantastic job. They're doing the Lights Work.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And when you say the lights work, are you saying like really the lights work, or as in from the Children of the Lights view?
It's a good question. I appropriately
They
for me.
represent this fandom that is statistically the best, and they do it very well.
Okay, so
Yeah.
not the Children of the Lights view. Perfect answer.
What
Yeah.
Maria just said.
Yeah,
There we go.
always the consummate professional.
Mhm. Unlike ourselves, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. Although we did consummate professionally, Joe and I, so that's the same thing.
That's not the same thing.
Yeah.
It's totally different.
Just like you shouldn't talk about it that way. It happened.
Technically-
You shouldn't talk
Oh,
about it
Noman
that way.
Garden says, "Oh, no rants because Tom's not here."
Yeah.
It would have been lovely for you guys to see some of Tom's vitriol. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Would it be productive? I don't.
So I guess so. Just a quick note: Tom's kid's sick. It's what 5-6 months. It's fine. Kid will be fine. But this is Tom's first time actually begging off because the sick child, which of course means we're going to have to petition for him to lose custody so he can be on the show every Tuesday.
just get rid of not the kid, but his parenting abilities. Parental rights.
That's
You know.
everything. Yeah.
You know.
Tom's not going to make it for him to be through high school anyway. So
murder my
That's right.
nephew, but
yeah.
whatever helps Tom be on the show on a more consistent basis.
Yeah. So, Maria
DK
was
Moon, I
actually-
do love listening to Tom's rants.
Yeah.
I have to go back and watch some.
We got a little
apparently.
Hi Maria.
They're
I-
not,
God, yeah. There's one that's, I mean,
yeah,
legendary. Like, wow.
Maria, take it as
Even
a
I was
compliment
taken
to
aback.
what you did, of course.
Dana Lou.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dana Lou's here.
Yeah.
I
She doesn't really mean you,
played
Matt.
Dana Lou in a photograph at Ogar Con. Since
Oh,
she
yeah?
wasn't there this year, I stood in for her. We
Oh,
were
okay.
recreating a photo.
It's a good stand-in. Yeah,
Not bad.
they were not perfect
Not bad.
recreations. I tried.
I mean, if anyone's going
tried.
to stand in for you, that's the one.
Yeah. I would have Maria.
You could stand in for like maybe Jono.
Yeah.
I don't know who else.
I can't be that much of an asshole.
No, Matt, not you. You're an angel.
Oh, sorry.
I
I was
appreciate
really
that.
confused. I'm sorry. I'm knitting and I'm a little distracted.
What are you knitting right now?
A sweater.
Totally fine.
Vest.
For whom?
Me?
Okay. Is it? Yeah, I saw
Oh,
greenish.
okay.
Is it Christmassy or just kind of?
No, it's pale blue and teal and some gray and
Yeah.
pink.
Okay, so send me something like Matt ran
All of
through
Maria's
the
colors.
First couple episodes of season 1.
Say that again.
Nice little roadie kind of thing.
Eh,
Good enough.
Okay.
Well, before we jump in, Maria was something far kinder than actually should have been, which was apparently Harry called you today. He said, and it made me laugh very, very hard.
I wasn't going to bring that back up, but all right.
Why not? It's the biggest compliment this show doesn't deserve. But
It
it's
was
ever had.
adorable. Yeah. Maria was doing homework, but not only was she doing homework, but Harriet was aware of the fact that you're doing homework. Which is
Harriet knows everything I do, dudes.
yeah, no, it's just like an itinerary.
Yeah.
From 8 a.m. to noon, I shall be rewatching season 2 of The Wheel of Times for tWoTcast because
Yeah.
that's important.
No, I did that on my own time. At work, I was reading recaps.
Hmm.
And some people write really bad recaps, I got to tell you.
They need an editor.
They need an editor.
Not naming
Yeah.
names,
Yeah.
but those
Not
names
naming
are.
I didn't even, I clicked on about 6 or 8 different people, and most of them were perfectly fine. But there was one, it was like, wait, I think I missed that one because it just didn't make sense, like anything I saw. But
How would you like to edit Wheel of Time recaps? Would that be something?
Just make sure they've got continuity, you know?
I would like to see Tom's.
It's a great
recaps.
idea.
If you can have Tom write up some recaps of the
Oh
episode,
my.
I really
Do
appreciate
you want to
that.
edit one of Tom's recaps right now? I can read it to you.
No, don't read that recap. That recap. Yeah, you know, fuck it. Go for it.
No,
Go
no.
for it.
We'll leave that in the dustbin of the past where it belongs, you know?
Maria, are you drinking anything?
Hmm?
Excuse me. Are you drinking anything?
yes, I am.
Yeah.
I have my wheel. Whoops, where's my camera? I never can find the damn camera.
Ah,
Oh, look at that. Oh, very
Wheel
cool.
of Time, glass of
Ooh,
wine.
nice.
is it a Gildon red or?
Mm-mm.
It's a Sauvignon Blanc.
So close. I remember.
Maybe we could call it a Saint-Jean Blanc.
I mean, you can't get a guild on Reddit in Charleston. Are you kidding?
All right, because I was just going to say that it's probably best to be half drunk if you want to hear one of Tom's vitriolic.
Yeah. It's better if I read that later in the show. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, and Matt, I assume you're drinking Scotch by the bottle.
This is some purified
Vodka, straight
drinking water.
Water bottle. True alcoholic.
Water. Yeah. Just hiding what it actually is. Yeah.
Reminds me of 18 years old. Man.
We all know. We all know.
All right. Well, so we're gonna dive in, Joe, with your intro if you want. This is just going to discuss the.
I mean, spoilers.
Yeah.
For all of season 2 and the books, because we talk about everything because we're a spoiler-heavy show. That's that's why we do it. And so season 2 review, part 3, I guess.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, Matt, Maria, kick us off. Whatever character, whatever point you want to make. Obviously, we're all massive fans of the books. Quick note: Joe really loved the series, the show. I enjoyed many parts of it. Some parts I was a little dissatisfied, but that's okay. It's more because of, again, part of the work that Maria helped put on page that I just wanted to be more like the work that she had done. But I get the fact that it's not always viable. Also, I'm going to slowly have a stroke as this light over me goes in and out. But that's fine. Matt, you look ready to talk. Thoughts?
Sure. So why don't we talk about Celine? Celine could be an interesting character to talk about. I think that's where the season 2 really, not a surprise to anybody, of course, really hit for me was actually getting into Rand's arc and immediately kind of finding Rand in a relationship with Celine. If you've read the books, you know that this was a possible. Oh, how far are we spoiling books, by the way?
All the way.
Full? Okay. Yeah. You knew that this was a possible future.
The whole thing.
So I liked kind of seeing them dig into that as a way of kind of settling Rand in Kyrian. His entry into that actual episode, that cold open, if you will, showing him in the dream having killed his friends and hearing kind of some whispers and hearing whispering as he's on his way to work, if you will, and meets with Errol. I mean, there's some just really strong. I loved again, it's not stuff in the books, if you will, but I really enjoyed kind of the mix of his Kyrian arc with introducing Celine here, and also that he had kind of jumped into starting a new life, if you will. Yeah. And that we get a little bit of this exposition about learning about his, you bring up the Aiel War, you get this connection with this Blade Master. You hear some of these like sword forms that we don't get from Lan, and in kind of, but around the same time, if you will, when as far as the books are concerned, so it was a little bit of a replacement, but I really like that whole kind of entry into this episode. Really kind of kicked it off, and it ends up being one of my favorite episodes of the season for sure.
Okay. Very cool.
So,
Maria, your well-informed thoughts, kind of, on that, both as an intro, what do you think about Celine / Lanfear, and kind of, that kind of massive change, but at the same time, it kind of makes sense for how they had to do these changes.
I enjoyed it, and I especially enjoyed Lanfear's clothing. I mean, Celine was not that special clothing-wise, but Lanfear, oh my God, what she was wearing. And the Rand chain to the wheel. I'm just like, oh my God, that was just beautiful. But I gotta put the knitting down. Yes, it's different from the books, but it had to be.
Yeah.
And I kind of enjoyed the whole wrapping my mind around the fact that Rand was getting busy with Lanfear, even though he didn't know it. And, when Moraine had to come in and save him. And I mean, it was just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, fun is it's just a fun,
I think
the
he thought the
sequence,
same thing. Yeah.
the sequence between Rand, I mean, if you just think about the connection, Rand, Moraine, Selene, like the fact that they took the season and gave us actual reasons to believe that Lanfear and Moraine have, bad blood between them. I mean, they did in the books. They were both trying to manipulate Rand, but they didn't. Obviously, we don't see them cross paths, if you will, until later, where we get this moment. But I like that we actually have some motivation here that's on screen, visually in front of us of this bad blood that you would assume is going to actually turn into something. Maybe in this next season, maybe they're planning it for a season 4, something that we as book readers expect to be coming. And I think that'll make it all the better, more interesting, more fun to have had this as the starting point, if you will, of that connection. Because again, in the books, they were both trying to manipulate Rand. We just don't get the paths crossed. So it was a lot of fun.
I think that like one of the things that the show has done the best, and this is an underhanded compliment, it's an overhanded compliment, if that's a term, is like adding more to the backstories, if you will, like fleshing out the characters of the Forsaken. Not that, and I guess all Dark Friends, right? Like I kind of, because again, maybe there's not quite the backstory necessarily, but it does put a little more of who Lanfear is, at least in this guise, right? This version of Wheel of Time. You see her as a person, you see her as this, you see kind of what's going on. Similarly with other, quasi evil or fully evil villains, right? Like we'll get to with, if we do get there, it depends on what time you guys want to go to bed. But like we get with Barthanes and all that, kind of, these aren't necessarily evil characters so much as they're driven that way by a different reason. And I think it does kind of
Leandrin.
Yeah, Leandrin. Yeah, like 100%. Like that. I as a book reader fan, I was like, why the fuck, pardon your language, Matt, is she on screen the entire time? That's not what book 2 is to me, book 2 into 3. But on the other hand, as an actress, she's captivating, has a plot line, she moves things along. There's a lot of rationale to it. But again, if Tom were here, he probably would have pissed himself in agony because it was too much of a character that he didn't think should be there. Disagree with him to some degree, although also funny to see him wet himself. So, again, I think a lot of the stylistic choices they've made make a lot of sense, even though what I want to see sometimes is I want to see that stuff with Lan and Rand is still my favorite stuff just in book 2. Like you want to see that, but it's going to change. So let's embrace the changes. And, the positive stuff are really apparent there. I think that she's a wonderful character, Lanfear is, or Selene, excuse my language.
Yeah, I mean, Natasha did an amazing job with the material that they gave her. I mean, all of them, like you brought up Maria, the costuming. I was like cast, crew, they all converged to really bring out Lanfear in this surprising way, as much as ever. Like so many fans connected with that, with her portrayal and enjoyed it. It was fun, right? Yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised, Jono, if we don't get a Rand training sequence in season 3. Actually, like
100% agreed.
It feels like it sometimes feels like they kind of come around to some things that they left behind and then they pull them.
Yeah, they do that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Like the whole Manatherin story.
Yeah,
because
I
it was front and center in the books and later in the TV show. But they got there and they.
Yeah, it adds a lot. And I think they do it just to kind of like really needle. I'm joking here. The readers are like, where the hell is this? And then like you've gone on your 10-minute rant and then you're like, oh, there it is. Well, I look like a jackass. So, you got to really kind of. So we're going to see as much dumb stuff as possible out of Joe's mouth. And then.
I mean, theoretically, I'm back. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I think it was that through that thread that went all the way through and to end the way they did in season 2 to bring in Moghedien and to show someone that Lanfear like demonstrably had some fear of. She didn't act that way around Ishamael, right? But to kind of Moghedien definitely comes across different than the books, but strangely fun. Like this goes back to that word Maria used, fun. Yeah, they're just fun. They're having some fun with this idea of the spider and Moghedien and so they ended it in a very fun way and made me look forward to. And I liked that. I did not look forward to season 2 the same way after season 1. Like it wasn't like it ended and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't. I really was like, how are they? Oh man, I did not feel the same way. Right at the end of season 2, I'm like, okay, just give me season 3 now. Like I want to see how you're going to carry this forward. So I like that that's changed to just anticipation, if you will, at the end of the season.
Okay.
So
I'm delighted by that. Like I remember watching the first 2 episodes. I'm sure you did too, Matt. You may have seen at a different screening, presumably, but watching the first 2 and be like, well, this is fucking exciting. Really kind of into it, even though there were some changes. And then due to certain unforeseen, presumably circumstances, season 1 ended in a very kind of like just this dumb face.
What is happening?
Yeah. But then season 2 picked up a lot and really kind of reoriented itself, got back on track. So I'm very excited for it.
I remember Rafe saying something way before the season started, but it was like along the lines of like season 2 helps right the ship in terms of like getting it closer to book reader, and then season 3 theoretically does even more of that. Did you guys get the impression of that from season 2? Do you feel like it's shifted closer to the books, or do you feel like they've set up more? I kind of feel like, for example, that they've set up just as many like splinterings off that goes in their own path as much as they have also kind of gotten closer to the books in a way.
I think they're a little closer to the books. I mean, what they're doing is, converting those 14 books into these little short things.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really hard. But I love the way they're, like I said, bringing things in later. The episode titles, I'm intrigued with, because of course we have Eyes Without Pity in season 2, and Rena, definitely there is no pity in those eyes. But the original Eyes Without Pity was in the eye of the world when Perrin, Elias, and Egwene are running from the ravens. But it fits both things, and sometimes the same title was used in the books too for different chapters. A different.
That was rare. That was relatively rare, though.
It's a lot of chapters, but a different dance happened in Dragon Reborn and Lord of Chaos, and it was totally different things. One was about the Aiel, and one was Matt and Meron dancing with Betsy. So, I like the way they're playing with it.
Yeah, it's what's interesting is because you're asking the question because season 1 really covered basically book 1 and some events, in I think New Spring, maybe a little bit there, but season 2 had to cover 2 books. So when you say closer, I think I agree with Maria, which is I felt closer to the material, although like some of the sequences, like what was happening, felt even further from because they're not doing right. A Rand sleeping with Celine, but that Rand moment with Matt and Kyrian, right? That Rand moment with Matt and Kyrian was fantastic.
And
go ahead.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so in the books, Rand, climbs the wall, falls into a garden, and Elaine heals him from his hurdies. Well, that doesn't happen in the TV show.
From his hurdies, that's what I call them.
He's got a big hurdie, and she comes and she heals him.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, their meeting is Elaine healing Rand, and I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's cool. It's a fun shot right at the end of that episode, right? And you connect with that shot as a book reader. There was a moment that I did not even catch at all. I'm not as familiar with New Spring, but they brought this up in episode 6. I think it was episode 6. Yes, it had to do with Moraine and her father and mother. And you remember her sister brings this story up, like you didn't return. Father was, he was dying. But in New Spring, during one of her testing, I think it's her mother's that's dying, and her father wants her to stay, and she won't stay. So, like stuff like that they're picking from the books and able to integrate it into a conversation like that, but obviously to kind of use it differently. To me, like I didn't even see that one. I think I want to say Light Blinded Fool. One of our viewers mentioned it, and I was like, no way, and went back and saw the text, and I think the more there's things like that I don't think we're even catching. Right. I'm sure there's things
for sure.
I need to go through and kind of I was just watching the end of episode 2, and I can't remember what it was, but I was just like, oh, they're referencing this that's going to happen in the future. And I hadn't noticed it the first 2 or 3 times I'd watched the show. So it makes it, I feel like season 2, maybe this is how I would say it. Season 2 feels it feels more like the books because it feels like there's more baked in, where it's foreshadowing things, or it's connecting things that, and they have more to work with and more characters to work with. And so I think it's hitting more, it hit better for me because of that.
Yeah, I think it definitely hit better for me. A lot of things. The first couple, I was in love with the first couple episodes of season 1 for the simple fact that, holy shit, I'm watching the Wheel of Time on TV, or in a kind of theater, right? I mean, that alone is just kind of like, this is priceless. And like we did, like every single thing, we always caveated with, regardless of what happens, we're excited to see this. Oh
yeah, of course. Yeah.
And that was really kind of how we felt. Like, caveats.
Not Tom.
But even Tom at first was kind of like,
Well, at first, you're right.
But then, like, as certain things happen, like, one day I would love to know how much like was stymied and hamstrung and whatever other terms you want to use by certain things that just happened, right? Like pandemic, changing of a character, which we'll get to. I know, Maria, we've got some thoughts there or some concerns because I know you loved a certain character. But like all of that, I don't understand. I'll never know unless Rafe just says, you know what, I'm going on tWoTcast and I can't wait to tell the story, which is the right medium for this. Right medium. You get shouted over by a couple drunk idiots. But it's like what really happened would be really fascinating to know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
There was I think Rafe did say that the plan, obviously they had the situation where Barney Harris left the show. They had planned a season 2 where it was Rand and Perrin and Matt on the hunt for the horn, like that. Yeah. They had planned that, and then when they had this change happen, they basically rewrote season 2 and decided to go with this, like splitting them all up, in these separate sequences. So yeah, we'll never know what that one was going to be like either, right? We'll never have seen that version of
season 2.
Told us. But honestly, after this one, I don't know that I don't want that one. Like I liked the season 2 so much that I don't care about that other version, because I think this splitting them all up. I mean, we get the Elaine introduction. I mean, Elaine is doing such a wonderful job.
I thought she did a great job. Yeah.
The Varen, the Varen, Lyanna, Rand, Moraine sequence, it's fantastic. Like to take Moraine sent me, right? To take that idea and to turn it into that, where Moraine says to Varen, "Oh, you're what she says something like, you're careful with your words." I don't know. She says something.
Yeah.
But to give it to Lyanna in that moment, but have Moraine there, I thought was really, really a fun.
Well, that's like we call that all of the biggest things that readers sat there like trying to torture into what the hell is happening. That was like one of the most like unambiguous. Someone is lying here, or someone is a kind of thing for the entire fandom. And so it's a fascinating kind of just put that in there. Like absolutely awesome to actually put that, just to stare straight at it and just say, well, someone tortures words, doesn't she? Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of delightful.
It's those kind of things that made season 2 feel closer, I think, to me.
They worked for you, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Very good. On that note, like one of the things that I've always been fascinated by is the original, like, and I maybe I'm misunderstanding or misremembering. Maria, you may know better. Like at one point, if I remember correctly, that one of the things that Jim was most interested in, the idea of the guy who realizes that he is the one too late. Like that was apparently one of the things kind of like one of his original ideas for the entire series was like finding out that he's the chosen one, but he's an older man. And then of course he obviously, got somewhere down the line and then said, well, no, and then redrew it as a younger guy. I would always be fascinated by what the hell that was going to be. Like that would have been a really cool novel. But it wouldn't have been the Wheel of Time. Similarly,
it wouldn't have been 14 books.
Yeah.
would have lost really fast. I guess we're screwed.
Yeah. But like
this is a short series.
To your point, like there is this kind of, what would have been like if all three went on the hunt. Maybe I don't want to know, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I want to know.
Yeah. Maria. other
Speaking
thoughts?
of Matt
Fine,
and
Joe's-
Barney and Donald, Maria,
Mhm.
how's the new casting? How do you like it? I know you loved Barney. I think we all did. How do you think about Donald and his portrayal of Matt? And
I think Donald is fine. I'm really sad because I got to meet the rest of the characters, but I didn't get to meet Barney, which I was
shattered
really
your heart
sad.
into 1,000 pieces.
I was really very sad. But
Yeah.
Daniel Henney made up for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought Donald was fabulous. I was really amazed when I first started watching. Okay, I watched TV without my glasses, and it's a little blurry. And I was like, oh, God, that looks like Barney. Is that,
No, just the same clothes.
Yeah.
I
I
think
thought
my
it was
favorite. Sorry, I interrupted. You go on, Maria.
it was fine.
It was.
It was fine.
I will say this. I think like the best thing that they did was
It was fine.
when they did a recap. They
Yeah.
didn't shy away from just showing scenes of Barney. Like,
Oh yeah, I did appreciate that.
I actually
yeah.
thought that because a lot of times
They didn't try to erase Barney. They just
No.
said like, "Hey, we recast him. We're moving on."
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of thing.
Fuck it, we moved on. No, I don't know why, but hope things are well for all involved. And but I thought Donald did a great job. I don't love the prop department. I'll be very honest. You show that picture of him holding what looks like I forget. I could
A vase, a vase from Amazon.
The horn.
Yeah,
the horn is
that's
bugging
exactly what it is. It's that
you. A vase from Amazon.
Yeah.
the water pitcher. My parents have this water pitcher. That, like it's the same damn thing.
I was kind of
Water
like,
pitcher.
why did they make the horn so ugly?
Yeah,
Why did they make the horn so ugly and not horn-like? I think
Yeah.
is one. It's not even that it's ugly. It's just like it doesn't resemble a horn. I mean, I understand that they're, whatever.
If you had told me he was
and-
holding it like on a green screen kind of thing, and like, don't worry, we're gonna
we're gonna CGI a horn in.
ends up that Amazon money ended right there, right in
They're
this
like,
game.
and we're done.
Yeah, that's it.
We just need a couple thousand more.
On
dollars.
Instagram, the stunt team,
Mhm.
they were showing kind of I don't know what they would call it, but just like a visualization of or they were portraying that final sequence, but like in their stunt studio. And the guy is actually holding a horn. If you I should send you the link. Like he's actually has it's like he's holding this horn. And I was like, that would have been like I would
Yeah,
I would have connected.
I mean,
with
I'm
that
not saying I wanted it to look like the chapter icon or how it's drawn on the maps or anything. And I know, like, it's fine to reimagine certain aspects, and like I get it. Like I'm open-minded to most of those changes and shifts in the show, but like it's just so drastic and so weird looking, and everyone was like, "What?"
It's
like
a bit egregious. It's pretty bad. Hey, the shape is weird. The color is weird. Like all of it
color.
is kind of.
It's gold. It's fine.
Yeah. Is it gold? Anyway, well, we
It's
can
gold
shit
with
on
silver. Yeah, it's
And
inlaid with silver. Yeah.
It looks like it's been painted with gold paint, but that's different.
Yeah.
Are you what?
Yeah.
Get out of here. I really loved Donald. I thought he did a really good job filling those shoes, which is kind of an impossible thing to do. At least it was early on, so it wasn't like we got like 3 seasons of Barney and then he was gone or something like that, because that would have been a really tough pill to swallow kind of thing. But the scenes, specifically the scenes where he refound Rand or he reunited with Perrin, I thought were like really, they seemed so heartfelt and so like charismatic between, like the charisma between the actors was so visceral that it really translated to the fact that like they knew him and had been with him the entire time, kind of season 1 style. And I thought they did a really good job in those moments. And aside from that, I thought he did a good job in general, but just those moments were really key to me because it was like Rand seeing Matt again, and it's not the same guy, but we're supposed to believe that they know each other. And I think they did a really good job of getting that across. Same with parents reuniting with Matt. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, Donald's now obviously whoever would have been acting that scene would have done the same thing. I just love when he's walking when he goes, "Dragon Reborn,"
Yeah.
It's
just like
it was just a really I was that
good.
the Kyrie and Rand Matt stuff was really well
Enjoyable.
done.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I also really enjoyed underappreciated thing watching Donald's like weird facial acting that he had to do for like the some of the scenes after he'd gotten to Falmouth. It just kind of like after he drank the tea, which again like I just kind of he had a couple of scenes where he just like looked fucking like he looked like he was like dialing up Bruce Campbell from Evil Dead, just going. It was very delightful.
I love that the Shamail Matt interacting and Donald obviously playing Matt here interacting with a Shamail and Lanfear and that whole the T sequence. Really good stuff.
Yeah. Where he realized Min had been leading him on was that was a really good scene too. Yeah, Min Min quote unquote betrayal scene was really, really good.
I will say we don't have to. I don't want to go and veer into too negative.
I would have preferred a slide whistle every time that Sean Tan swooshed there.
They were a little loud.
I gotta say, when they cut off Suroth's nails, I was like, "Woo, yay!"
Yeah, you're like, "Fuck you, bitch!
They're gone."
That was pretty well done. I think they got a lot of. I want them to kind of, like play up a little more of some of what these things do, like the fact that she should have been, eyes down. But again, I liked a lot of what they did, and I think that they kind of almost got there with how I want the importance to be. Like realistically, she should have been dressed down. That should have been the biggest slide whistle of Valir.
These are really good.
Yeah.
Taking a chug from a pee bottle? Okay. Good Lord.
It should be noted, and Matt, I assume you have similar.
Fire dragons are expensive.
You have similar viewers. Maria, we found out that, as you'd expect, the people who are actually watching us far cleverer and smarter than we'll ever be.
Oh yeah, it's adorable.
The only thing they don't.
We love them all. Yeah.
I don't really know, but apparently they don't have a stream. So that's about the only difference between us, and that's why you're stuck with us and they're watching.
Yeah.
So, shit happens. Other characters that you'd love to hit on, Maria?
That I would
love to hit, not hit on sexually, just discuss. I love.
Okay, I was gonna say we've mentioned Daniel Henney, right?
Oh, we can go to Daniel Henney.
Yeah.
You guys want to talk about Moraine and Lan for this season?
Lorraine, huh? Yeah.
Lorraine and that's the both of them together.
Yeah.
Lorraine and Man. Yeah.
Lorraine and Man.
I like it.
That's more.
That sounds like something I would say.
Yeah.
What was the point of that? What? I mean, I know it's Marissa and Pike, and you need more, but it was very confusing, that whole storyline. I was like, "What's going on here? Why are we watching this? Why are we spending so much time on this?" I don't know. Parts of that were good. Parts of it were like, "This is unnecessary. I need more time with the other characters."
I was really happy when they got back together.
Well, yeah.
Eyes.
And I don't want a whole season without them at all, just to get to that point. That's for sure. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I liked Moraine by I think once they separated. Actually, I like the intro. Going back and watching episode 1 a couple times now, I do like what they're trying to do there. Like I have critique of the final fight with the Fades, but overall, I think what they were trying to do between the two of them and using Varen and Adelaus in that, and they're kind of merging the whole idea of the end or the beginning of episode or book 3 with kind of the beginning of the arc in book 2, merging these ideas together where people are visiting and she's kind of researching or searching for things. But introducing this, they've introduced this element at the end of season 1, and like once you make that choice, they're gonna take us through the whole ride, right? And you're like, oh, and that ride was less interesting to me as far as, but I have other fans of the show that really loved it. Like, and so that's what this is an arc that doesn't really hit for me, but it does hit really well for other people. And so,
do you think it takes away from like the potential of her leaving at some point for like a Moraine Lanfear battle that ends in a twisted doorway, so to speak. I mean, like, who knows if we'll ever get there? But like by putting this story arc here, you're kind of like taking it away from another place down the road. And maybe they don't need to get there, but like, does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's curious of what will they do, right? Are they? They'll follow that.
Are we going to rehash this again, or is it getting past Inneeper right away, or like how is he? That kind of thought process.
There's certainly, I mean, they're certainly connecting us with that whole idea of what's happening or what's going to happen in the future with what they did with Steppen in season 1. They're definitely they're embedding in the discussion of this bond in a way that, as a fan of reading the books, I didn't pay as much attention to, right? Yeah. It wasn't something that I was as enchanted by. So I'm not surprised that I watch it on TV and I'm not still that enchanted by the kind of the focus on it. But I did really like Moraine alone in Kyrian. Like when Moraine separates and goes off and is with Rand and Kyrian, and that whole sequence where she can't use the one power in that moment. It is a satisfying to me that the Moraine part of that arc is satisfying. The part that's unsatisfying is the land side of it.
Yeah.
It's less satisfying, at the beginning of it. At the end, there are some moments where I feel like, it comes back a bit. I don't connect too much with that storyline. But again, a lot of fans that I've talked to, like that was they liked that, right? And so I'm like, okay. And it's not necessarily. I've talked to people that haven't read all the books, but they like the show, and they're like, no, it was compelling to them. So I was like, okay, I'll see it through your eyes. But I just like the books, I have favorite storylines. It's not like I thought anything better about Perrin seeking out Fael, right? Like there was just times where it's like, I want this part to end. This is not enjoyable for me as other fans might have enjoyed it. So I think the show has that too.
Can I interrupt? I want you to know that I started writing a couple notes down because I'm a very serious man. First of all, Matt, you are 100% the most diplomatic person. And probably, I don't know if you should probably have a podcast or like a YouTube, just so you know. But I would like you, and this is where I'm about to lose 99% of the audience. I would like you to have you a critique sex because like your responses were like it didn't hit for me.
Say it one more time.
But maybe
critique what?
I wasn't enchanted by it. I did like some of this, but alone it was more satisfying. This just in general was not enjoyable for me. These are all quotes. I wrote them down as you were talking. Like these are all direct quotes. Again,
just quickly making notes.
Yeah. Just amazing.
It's like similar. I think just from a personality standpoint, like if I feel like if I wrote down quotes of stuff you said during a show,
mine would all be the dumbest thing.
It would probably be associated with just your general disposition in life and how you treat other people is my guess.
Yeah.
So you have to catch me. So for example, after episode 1, you can go watch my live reaction and rant about Lan and fighting the Fades, right? And then afterwards, I'm like less annoyed or less pissed off by something. So then it turns into more like, whatever, moving on kind of thing. So I'm trying to think. I think Lan and the Fades is kind of my greatest annoyance of season 1.
Just the scene in general, or the fact that he lost, or the lighting, or what do you specifically?
I just don't find it. I just don't find it to be true to who Lan was as a warder, and
I feel like there's a lot of not true to who Lan is in the show as a warder.
Maria, you nodded your head. What are your thoughts? And if you want to say,
I was not as engaged in Lan in season 2 as I was in 1.
Yeah.
I mean, he seemed more in control of his own destiny in 1, and here he's just kind of waffling along after Moraine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go tell the Amerlin, kind of thing. I don't know.
I'm with you. And obviously,
for me, it was the odd unbelievability of him somehow discovering that she was tied off knotted somehow, shielded somehow. That's none of the Aes Sedai knew, or none of the Brown Aja Varen doesn't know. Like, I'm like, come on, where is Lan getting this knowledge from? It seemed a little like that was a stretch, kind of thing.
Yeah, there were certain things they did with that I didn't love. Certain things of like, we've heard the legends that they could tie off weaves. That's such a strange thing for anyone to know. And we'll get into that. Like what a weird legend. Like that kind of thing. I thought I found a little disappointing, to put it mildly. But again, Daniel Henney himself, as Maria will vouch for,
crushed it. Fucking
awesome. Like the actor himself, fucking awesome. And that's not me saying that. That's me quoting myself saying that. So I absolutely he's fantastic.
Yeah, that's. You hope that this somehow has meaning or reason in season 3, but I feel like Lan's storyline in season 2 will be a lot like when Loial was cut by the dagger, where you're like, I don't really understand. And then next season they'll just kind of move on, like as in like Lan will be doing kind of, because I anticipate they're doing the Aiel Waste. I anticipate Lan and Rand will be there. I'm anticipating some like Lan, Moraine, Rand stuff that we expect from the books. And we'll look back on the season, and at least for me, it's just Lan's the character in this season that I just I can't.
All right, let me get to this next question. And how did Loial survive? That's the first part. Do you feel like the show could benefit from stricter rules on how objects in the One Power are represented from scene to scene, season to season? Because I feel like they're a little nebulous at times.
Yeah.
Dagger and the One Power, and look, I mean, not even a throwaway line of dialogue. Like, it's a good thing that I said I came, or something, or Loial would be dead, or just like something, nothing.
I love the metaphysics of the Wheel of Time, and so this has been my greatest struggle just for the show in general. Is I want there to be more strict rules, and I'm always like, they're gonna, because you want to then theorize. I want to theorize about what's going to happen or what they're trying to do with it.
Yeah, and that's difficult to do when they're like rewriting
the magic.
How
is
things act.
Really,
yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's really soft. The rules don't. Not that I don't know. Like I'm sitting here going like, why does the dagger do this one time and doesn't do this the next time? And like,
why can it melt a lock on a door, but it's Loyal's fine?
Yeah.
All right.
That one I'm trying to let go of.
Open the front of the lever.
No, it's true. And Kate said this in chat. It's true. Like early, this is true, but only because Robert Jordan was building out his he was solidifying the metaphysics in early books. And so there are some things that happen in like book 1 where you're like, okay, I have to chalk this up a bit to just kind of, it's a little bit
sure, but the show has the benefit of having
all the books
out. I mean, I understand where you're going with it, but
I know that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Like,
they have all the books, so you don't have to do that, and so it's it definitely feels like a choice. They're just
you clearly have fire, vitality, and poison.
They're
and lightsaber dagger resistance as well, apparently.
Yeah,
loose and fast with it, but I think it's easier on them from a storytelling standpoint, right? They don't trying to make sure everyone. I'll be honest, I meet so many Wheel of Time fans who don't understand the metaphysics either, right? And they're theorizing and talking about like, no, this is true. Do you know how many times I've argued that in the last 25 years of like someone's like, no man, I read this thing 4 times and I swear this is how it works, right? Like,
and you're like, you're wrong. I'm Matt.
How many people get the oath rod wrong?
Only 4 times? What type of fucking piece of shit are you?
4 times? Go back to school.
No, but that's the whole. That's what I mean.
No, I
like,
know.
This is. I think it's hard to, first of all, to understand all the rules, and then I think it's hard to write something where they're like, I want to do this thing where this dragon shows up in the air like this. That's cool. And it's like, oh, well, how are you going to do that in this world with these rules? And it's like, how about we don't worry about that?
Who gives a
and we just do it.
Yeah, we just show the big dragon. Yeah.
Okay. Although, honestly, Jordan did it too, right? He called him, I think he's the one that quoted pattern level events, right? The fight with Rand in the sky in Falma. is not necessarily like following a metaphysics as much as it's a pattern level event, whereas the pattern basically is dictating this event and it's going to happen. So again, they can play fast and loose and say, well, everything about the metaphysics is basically a pattern level event. But I'm not surprised they're doing it because it's easier storytelling.
Maria, your thoughts as a person who wrote and edited pattern level events.
I'm sorry?
As a person who helped edit pattern level events, what are your thoughts? On something, again, and loose. And if you don't want to answer, that's fine. Joe will yell at.
No, I mean, like, just on the benefit of, like, I feel like the show could benefit from slightly stricter rules, allowing us to, like, kind of understand where they're going, and you know.
Yeah. And I really kind of sometimes wish they'd, just give me a call and say, "How do you pronounce this word?"
I love that. Sorry.
What, do you have a word that you would like to tell us about?
Yes, tell us a word. Yes.
Choden cow.
Fall May.
Oh yeah.
Fall May.
Fall May. Yeah,
and how?
I mean, in fairness, I've never said that in my head.
I always say
correctly.
Falma. So Fall May.
Yeah.
I say Falma.
That's just.
Fall May. I think in my head as I read, I mean, much younger at this point, but I mean, like, I think I just said Falm. I didn't even say A at the end.
That's what they were doing. So
yeah.
I mean,
how did they say Falm? I don't remember.
They say Falm on the show. Yeah.
Because Harriet and I had much amusement.
Oh. Well, I'm glad to entertain you. Yeah, with my own ignorance.
See, but this is a classic moment, right? Like, again, pronunciations, Wheel of Time, and even fans that have been like reading these books forever, they're like, wait, what?
Seriously, normally I'm not that big of a dick about pronunciations. I don't care. Jim corrected me, frequently. If somebody says the wrong word to me in conversation at a con, I don't care.
Oh,
if
yeah.
They ask me how to pronounce it. That's another thing, but I don't care. Yeah, but
totally.
I mean, different people have called me in the past to ask me how to pronounce things, and I'm happy to share or say, I'm not sure about this one.
Speaking of somebody that is never mispronounced, do you guys want to talk about Niniave? That's how you say it, right?
Yeah.
Who?
Niniave.
Oh, Niniave.
Oh, Niniave.
Yeah.
What?
No,
it's Niniave.
Maria, she's deeply Italian.
I really, my favorite, I think, pronunciation fun was somebody pronounced Eguini. And that just, it's like, why couldn't it be Eguini? That would be.
I think my child brain used to say Edgeween for some reason. Yeah. Even though there's no D, I have no idea why. No, it doesn't make any sense.
Okay, I have to ask Joe and Jono, have you ever actually sat and read the glossary on purpose? Like, you have?
Of course. 100%.
I don't know why I didn't do that reading the books. I would always like get to the end and I never would read the glossary. I
wouldn't reread it.
Oh, no.
I read it one time and then I would because you read it once, you kind of can pick out the ones that are changed or new. So I would just read those. It's not like I would read it through every time. But I would be like, that one's new and that one's new. I'll read about that.
Put Noman Garden's comment up.
Oh, okay.
Why are you twisting in my chair? The fact that the innkeeper, the guy who called himself...
No, not that one. Not that one. The one where he said, right above it.
Oh, glossary.
Yeah, so like people would say this to me all the time. Like I got online in like 97 and started interacting with Wheel of Time fans. And they would
I
be
thought
like,
you said I'm 97.
No. And people would like bring up glossary references for pronunciation, and I never looked for pronunciation. It's just like Tame. His name was Tame, and that's what it was going to be forever.
Okay.
Like I never went to the glossary to find out how to.
That's actually why
something.
I did.
Does that make
most
sense?
Of it.
Yeah, I know. That's what people would say. Like, oh, this is how I pronounce it because this is how it says it in the glossary. And I'd always be like,
yeah.
There's pronunciations in the
glossary. Like they say in the glossary, it's Niniave. Yeah, that's how they say it.
They've got a couple of other ones too that are wrong. But
which one bothers you the most?
What?
That's wrong. That's a wrong pronunciation.
Ogier.
Yeah. What have they been saying?
I think it's wrong. I've forgotten. No, is it? Now I can't remember. I'm sorry.
It's don't
worry about it.
At the end of book 7 on, Jim would say, make a list of things that ought to be in the glossary. So I paid a lot of attention to the glossary actually, because, you know, it was my job.
Yeah. So, all right, couple things, Maria. First off, I have this as always right here.
Yeah, you gotta have it like
right
gotta
here.
have it in reach.
It's one of my favorite, most underappreciated books, and the fact that someone who may or may not be on this show as a guest today had never read it until we had him on our show, I thought was one of the most. Of all things, I assumed that Matt Hatch is.
Hold on.
You know,
Hold on.
Wait,
So,
let Maria read this out loud.
Oh,
Cimarage.
Oh,
Okay.
Aj. Interesting. I was close.
Cyberhate.
I always did a hard G.
Yeah.
Cimarag. But Aj makes sense though.
Yeah, you know, you might be right. It's been a long time since I talked to Jim, actually. So somehow.
Oh, it's been quite some time for us too.
Stating Ogier. I say Ogier. Yeah,
I've
always-
researched
See-
said glossaries. I just haven't sat down to read them straight through.
I
Just
used
like
to
I
read the
typically do with the books
glossary.
now.
I used to read the glossary after every
I've
time. I
never read the glossary. The glossary was my job.
my job was
Are you guys
theorizing.
nemesis now?
I've read the
Yeah.
glossary. One of my favorite things between them, Maria, to your job's credit, was I loved how, like, especially Rand, Matt, and Perrin and other characters, they became like a shepherd in the Two Rivers, a shepherd who may be a Taviran, a shepherd who's the Dragon Reborn. And watching that fucking change was one of my favorite, like, this is where I know where I am. Like, I always absolutely love the glossary.
That was
No,
beautiful.
Nomen Garden with the hard G.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that is Cimarag, and I think that's right. It's been a long time though.
I disagree. If it comes out of your mouth, then it's canon.
No,
Okay.
that's not. I mean, seriously, it's been a long time since I talked with the creator.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I've talked to a lot of people who aren't the creator, and I sometimes pick up bad habits.
Doing it right
I
now.
see what you're saying. I see what
Yeah,
you're saying.
we're doing it right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, from Matt,
Like,
who is
Drinking
Never-
wine out of a goblet.
yeah,
Never say
That's our fault.
Falma.
That's our fault.
You'll never say Falma. So
Yeah.
Falme.
Ame.
Fame.
Did you ever?
All right,
what
which
was your favorite-
character-
what was your favorite?
Go ahead, go
like,
ahead.
Did you have a pronunciation that you kind of ever held on to? Like Tame. Tame was like a really common one for a
Yeah,
lot of us
I
until
did
we
that.
heard Robert
No,
Jordan
this
say
one.
Taim.
Okay, my brother-in-law is the one who introduced me to the Wheel of Time. My 16 years younger brother-in-law, and he really just had no truck with Taim, and I was like, it's Taim. It's definitely Taim.
yeah.
I'm trying to think. I had a lot of trouble learning to pronounce Athenial. And one time, I went in Jim's office and he said Birgitta, something about Birgitta. And I was like, who the hell's Birgitta? And he said, the hero of the horn. And I was like, oh, Brigitte.
Yeah.
No,
yeah. That's
Birgitta.
right.
Would he get
Yeah.
angry?
That's another E I dropped off. I didn't say Jeet. I think I said Birgitte.
Yeah,
a lot.
Brigitte.
I think
You
in my
didn't know
head, I
that,
think I
Jono? Jeez, I thought you read the glossary.
come on.
But
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, and Marilila, which I'm not really sure about that one anymore either. Just like he was inconsistent about the final E. Sometimes it was pronounced and sometimes it was silent. And I got lost with some of the longer names.
Kate has a question for Maria. Have you listened to the Pike narration? She's doing a great job.
I have listened to some of it.
Okay. I have not listened to it at all yet.
I'm not good at audiobooks. I am very visual oriented, and like the only traffic ticket I got in my life, I was listening to an audiobook. This year at I was going to Jordan Con. I was trying to listen to a Wesley Chu's audiobook, and I stopped to get gas and then got on the highway in the wrong
Just
direction.
speeding.
And
Whoa,
ended
it's
up
the wrong
20
direction.
miles out of my way. So it's I don't know. Audiobooks don't. I have listened to most of Michael and Kate's because my child was too young to read the book, so we'd listen to them in the car. And Michael and Kate are fabulous people. So, I mean, Rosamund Pike is too, but
Did you ever listen
they've
to...
been at tWoT Con the past couple of years, and they are just delightful.
I've missed that, so hopefully I'll rectify that this year. But yeah,
you should rectify that. Well, I don't know.
that
For sure
Jono
they'll
was
be back,
laughing
but
so
I-
much. It's funny stuff, funny.
Like how Maria said, I don't know if you should.
Did you
Yeah,
ever listen to
maybe I should.
podcast with your children or a child of yours?
John, stop setting Maria up.
Did you ever listen to tWoTcast with a child of yours in the car?
Yes, I have.
Oh.
You know what happened?
Told you to turn it off.
You got to turn that
I already
off. I
know.
can't listen to that crap with my mama in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the right response. Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it should be. You should
Spoilers.
probably not listen to it.
Also, we say fuck a lot.
Yeah.
That's
Good
we
one.
should have said that at the beginning, of every episode.
I thought you put up the spoiler. It doesn't matter.
No, I was just saying the also we say fuck a lot part.
By the way, you both are behaving yourselves really well, so I want to come on. Maria's on.
Trying.
We're
I wanna come on.
yeah.
Maria's on from now on. So
I don't want to
love
jinx it. I'm going to.
I'm on my third glass of scotch and my third beer. Sorry. It's a downhill to sit from here.
I mean, as I said, it's serendipitous. Tom's not here. Probably be some angry rant. You liked season 2? Like that kind of thing. But it's all right.
And honestly, you should take it as a compliment because that means that's how much he loves the books. Because he is a...
Okay, so Maria, you said you watched season 2, episode 1 and 8 a couple of times, and then you were kind of like filling in the middle in preparation for tonight, which is insane. But also, is there a character? How did you guys feel about the finale? Is there a character that you were like, oh, that fell short, or like, what was what do you, in terms of characters, what do you think? Who do you think was like not represented well in the finale of the season, or didn't like tie up their season well?
I honestly, I don't know that I've thought about it that entirely much. I know a lot of people were unhappy with Egwene's finish.
Okay.
I did not really have a problem with it. I wanted her to kick
That's
some ass.
a fair answer. Is that I was happy with all of them. that's certainly a fair answer.
You're not allowed to give that answer. It has to be a negative. No, I'm kidding. No, that's absolutely fine.
Well, I mean, the caveat is also, who did you think had a fantastic season finale, kind of thing. The opposite side of that coin. So I'm saying, Nynaeve was shortchanged. I agree with that. That's kind of where I was angling. Nynaeve and Egwene, okay.
I thought
Nynaeve needed her rock bottom. I couldn't save any of you. Okay.
I thought there was nothing like he's not the Ishamael I expected, but the way that Faraz represents everything as an actor, like he's fucking weird, and I love.
I liked him. And honest to God, I cannot remember her name. I tried to memorize it, but it didn't stick. Rena. I thought she kicked ass and took names.
Yeah.
She did a great job.
I didn't like her voice that much. Like there was something about her voice when she was just in a steady. Before, when she got angry, when she got emotional, I liked it. But when she was steady, it was a little kind of like, I don't know, didn't quite. I'm expecting. It's not a Texan Sean Chan I needed, but just kind of that kind of thing.
I wanted Avienda to do something else. I wanted more to happen with Avienda. Like I thought they might connect us to a season 3 in some form or fashion. Like I get like Aiel showing up and then saying the Karkarn, which is it was fine. I just was like,
well, she kicked some ass.
She did. I just wanted a
tried.
little more. So that was the one that really stuck out to me. Obviously, Nynaeve's, it's frustrating because the thing I think that bothers me with the Nynaeve angle is they took us down a road. This is the hard thing. They took us down a road as a book fan.
Yeah.
And then they just like,
and
then just stopped. And you're
then
like,
they kind of left you there.
Well,
and
that
then, Elaine gets shot with a bolt and you were like,
what
the? Wait, that's not how I thought this was.
Well, are you going to get angry and channel now?
Please,
Or
cut the feathers off first.
Yeah, like it was just, don't know what happened. Like I don't know if that was just like on purpose. They were like, yes, we think we're going to go here, but no, we're going to move this stuff off. And Nynaeve thinks she's going to play this role, but no, she's not going to in this moment.
All right, so and Maria, you brought this up earlier, but would you have felt dissatisfied with Rand meeting Elaine if, say, Nynaeve had healed him and he still looked starry-eyed up at Elaine? Like, would that have changed that for you because she didn't technically heal him, or is it that because he just doesn't heal him in the books? She just like, you know, puts a little like wet rag on his forehead or something. You know, it's not like she's using the one power. So like, would that have changed that? And also given, you know, book readers like, oh, Nynaeve did something versus like, and he could still have that connection with Elaine in that moment, but it gives Nynaeve something to do. I don't know. You know, like it's those fine like differences that I'm like, oh, that could have helped.
I don't think it would have mattered that much. I just thought it was kind of cute. And I didn't entirely notice it on my own. You know, I read recaps today and somebody pointed it out and I was like, oh my gosh, that's cool. And I just I had a little notice come up on Instagram that Miss Pike added to her story, which I just find kind of amusing while we're talking about her.
And what she just add to her story?
I don't know. I don't get Instagram.
No,
so
I don't have it either.
I have it, but I almost never look at it.
Yeah. Well, either way, she's added to her story. I
mean, that is true.
I was going to go with something relevant, and I just lost it because I poured myself another drink, and I forgot things.
Okay, I'm going to pour myself another one. I'll be right back.
Take your time. Oh, now I know what I was going to say.
People are bringing up Nynaeve as far as I'm not bothered with Nynaeve's like what happened with Nynaeve, that she wasn't really part of the solution at the end. Like that's it's. I'm saying that they set us up with this idea that they were looking for ways to help Egwene.
Yeah.
And then we get her dressed as a Adam, and they figure out how to use like the Adam.
They did all the things.
They did all the things. They knocked out the person. They interrogated her, and then I was like, okay, well the obvious thing is to take this one more step, you know, even to get up on the tower. Like I would have, even getting them up on the tower, it was like weird to shoot Elaine.
Yeah, in time to see that.
Like just have them go up to the tower, like have them make their way and go up to the tower. And Nynaeve's not able to protect them. And I get they were kind of building on this idea that Nynaeve can't channel, and so you have this healing happen with Elaine instead. I'm fine with that. Like that part didn't bother me. It was again, like I said, they took us down a road as a book fan, and then my brain was just like short circuited for a moment. And then when I go back and I watch it, other than the fact that they sit there for all too long in a weird way.
Your book fans takes a back seat, and then you can see it again. You know.
Yeah, and then I'm not as bothered by it, other than the whole like pushing the bolt through is just a weird like scene. But
that's
and then walking up.
People bring that up a lot, and people bring the bolt thing up a lot, and I'm like, I understand she's a wisdom and she like heals people, but I mean, she's not like a field man. She hasn't been in a battle. Like it's not that weird that she's like, I don't know what I'm doing. You know, and just like, you know, I mean, like it's not that crazy.
Yeah. I feel like Nynaeve is kind of almost like emblematic, if you will, of the season, in that like there are certain things, like she has a massively fucking awesome payoff in her like accepted testing. Like her accepted testing at first is kind of like, this is cool visuals, and then all of a sudden the way it ends, we think at the end of that episode, is just like, what the hell is this, right? And then it ends up, got you book readers, this is not really the truth, that kind of thing. And what happens is actually does have a good payoff. And so all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, that was really deep, that was really exciting. But then the last part of her really didn't need to be there. And I think that that's kind of a weird allegory for the entire season for certain characters, in that there was actually like a weird bait and switch. A lot of very cool things happen, but at the same time, it doesn't quite hit where you think it's going to. It's certainly still very interesting. It's still very good. It's very like kind of like, well, I on your toes kind of thing, but it's just almost intentionally in a different direction you think it's going to go.
I mean, Noman Garden and Koala are bringing up, I mean, the trauma of the accepted test, you know, can't be understated.
I bet it could be
overstated.
I could,
for sure. Yeah.
So I that aspect of what Nynaeve's going through, but you don't really, they don't sit in it a lot. Like she's able to kind of convert this kind of like, we're gonna save Egwene from this stuff. I mean, they just watched what happened to Rima and her warder, right?
Yeah.
And they were still kind of like pretty active in that. So yeah, you can kind of step away from that a bit as far as what's going on with Nynaeve, but then when you sit back and you see some comments from fans and you're like, oh yeah, I sometimes don't give as much credence to what Nynaeve is going through in that moment versus where I thought they were going with her story. So yeah, that was it's going to be interesting. Again, I think hopefully season 3 will be more instructive about season 2 in ways that we just don't know yet.
I mean, I'm very excited for it. And
yeah.
I think that there's a lot that kind of, again, the end of season 1 was kind of a little disappointing, right? But certain parts of season 2 I still found disappointing, but really kind of there's a lot of upshot, a lot of excitement, a lot of like reason for enthusiasm. Tom, your thoughts? Oh, all positive. Thanks, Tom. So I'm glad we've got that going on. And I think that the thing is this: every one of these actors is pretty damn incredible. Like there's not like there's no. Is there any actor you look at and you're like, well, he fucking sucks? Like that's the Joe O'Hara of actors. Like no one says that. Thank you so much, Maria. There's no like
that got Maria. She's like, oh, you're right.
Yeah.
He's bad.
Like that's not there. Like these are all
Joe acting ridiculous.
Yeah. Like they're all amazing. Like Logain, the guy who plays Logain, I could sit there and just watch him
crushing it.
Like
yeah. I can throw aside all of the why is Rand in an insane asylum? Why does this place exist? Why is that guy not in the tower still? Like why? I'm just like, I don't care. Let's watch them together.
Love Logan.
Yeah.
Which just doesn't make any sense. I'm just like, what's happening? I don't care.
Amazing.
That guy. Let's have more conversations with him.
Yeah.
I felt that more, I think, on rewatch, which was just like, and it was the same thing with episode 8. Like the first time through was unique anyway when I watched it, but that every time I go back and watch an episode, I like it more. Mm-hmm. And that's what I like in season 2. Like I find something, I'm listening closer to what somebody says. It references something that does happen or anticipates going to happen. Whatever it is, like you said, the acting is the acting and the kind of built-in foreshadowing, I think, was just really well done. Someone brought up Suroth. Which, by the way, will have to be my favorite affectation the entire season is when she says "Lady Suroth." I was just like over like that. I think I might have said that way after our live reaction, probably like 100 times during that. But yeah, Lady Suroth. She comes across like that's the one where it's just like it feels so juvenile. Like she's just like. In a way that petulant. I think
she was arguing with Ishmael, and you're like, "That's a Forsaken. What are you doing? You're
I
gonna get murdered."
The kind of like, I almost took it was like this stereotype of just someone that's just like elitist, like but like snobbish, like you said, but petulant, like had been raised and like, I don't know, it's like coddled in power, to the point where they say and they talk and they just ways that just feel so. Yeah, I mean, immature, juvenile, like, I know it's like adolescent in ways, and so I feel like she was playing it that way, and so it's like one of the. She
was like, "I'm the one of the high blood."
Well, it's like it's like
you listen to me.
It's hard to watch sometimes for me because I'm like, oh, this comes across kind of just, I don't like, but it feels like it's done very purposely, and so when I watch it, like how she treats Loyal, when he's doing,
who was inexplicably alive. I don't know if you guys noticed
he's doing the tree singing and like she has him perform and then she cuts him off and is just talking about how to use people and how it first when I first watched the season, Lady Suroth bothers me, but more and more I'm kind of like, it's a fun way of thinking about Lady Suroth.
But that's an interesting question, right? I not that was an interesting question, kind of like bullshit, like. So do we? Like, let's pretend like we know where they're going, right? Like this is entitled that Suroth kind of plan here. Like, but why, right? Like you're watching it the first time as a book reader, and your response is, "What the hell is this?" Right? This is not Suroth. This is not the person that we've expected. This is not a calculated dark friend who is second on the Helene over here for the first time. This is instead just a childish brat who's kind of playing at things, right?
Yeah.
Does that add to, take away, or wait and see kind of thing for you?
Kate, this is a good question. Let me call back to this after Jono finishes. Yeah.
Matt, Maria, and maybe go with Matt because you actually have been talking about it. But
yeah, I mean, yeah, Suroth comes up like the pater of the Shan-Chan Dark Friends. You know what I mean? Like it's and it was a change in a way that I wasn't expecting it because I was it's almost like more like book Leandrin, a bit like than what they've done, and so I feel like they did change it. Why? I would imagine so you can believe someone competent, like you showed so much incompetence in the Shan-Chan at this point that I'm assuming it's so they can replace it with competence, like with someone coming in. Will that be tWoT? Will we actually see like it's like this has been mishandled, by this incompetent person, and then replace them with someone that we actually fear?
It'd be one thing though, and not to
I think that's a great way to do it.
No.
But why send her though? This is the Helene, right? This is the first time they've come to this continent in literally 1,000 years.
I mean, you could also presume that they're expecting to walk over everybody when they get here.
They don't
like
know
they're like,
walk into.
send her. Like it'll be fine. Send her.
I mean, even Turok seems kind of like just.
Yeah. What did you guys think about Randy Anna Jones?
I've said this consistently. I liked it.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, I was for it.
Loved it. It was just like, oh no, we gotta watch.
Honestly, I liked it mainly because they didn't take the time to show him learning the sword. So like, I'd rather that happen than like him inexplicably just cut Turok down or Turok down.
I don't really enjoy sword fights that much. Excuse me, but aside from Inigo Montoya versus the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Oh yeah, of course, that's fantastic.
It takes up a lot of time, and then there's no training. I mean, it was just like he has a hair marked sword. Let's go, boom. Okay, now we can move on. Thank you,
Maria.
Yeah,
I thought you did a lot of editing of sword fights in your previous to Wheel of Time.
I read a lot of stuff.
He's making a sex joke.
Left. There were things I left up to other people. Anything geographical was Alan. Stuck at geography. Anything to do with the old time.
He's talking about dicks.
I was talking about your previous work before Wheel of Time.
Let's highlight this question. So Kate said, so a watcher friend of mine didn't like season 2 because they feel like the stakes for the main characters are not clear. And that's an interesting perspective. So, I mean, and I've said this a couple of times on our show, but like this season, for whatever reason, I didn't get to watch it at the same time as my wife. And she's kind of an interesting litmus test in terms of like, I don't really know the books, but I know a lot about it because I've been married to you for 10 years, that kind of thing. But so I always enjoy watching it with her because she always kind of has like a fresh, interesting perspective. Like I'll look to her after the episode's over. I'm like, what do you think? She's like, well, I like this and that. I'm like, oh, okay. I see that. I didn't have that this season. So as much as this was a much better season to me, I also had this like weird lack of her perspective. So I feel like I strayed more negatively because I was like in my own book head, kind of thing the whole time.
You didn't miss much.
So
I found that to be the case.
What did you guys think?
When I watched it with my family, I enjoyed it immensely more than watching it like just myself. Like they were much more just like comments that they made were hilarious. And they just enjoyed the show in a way that it's so hard, right? Disassociating yourself from the material in a way I can't, and they can, right? They're just they're not as connected to it, and they've heard reference, like you said, for their entire lives, basically.
Yeah, like she knows where Matt is in the last battle. Like she knows, like she knows so much stuff, but she's able to go, well, yeah, I know the high notes, but like. And she may or may not remember them, but like, so as she's watching the seasons, it's kind of an interesting perspective to have next to me going like, oh no, it was fine, I like that, or oh, they look cool, and I'm like, they do look cool, oh, they look cool, okay.
My daughter the entire season was like, I can't believe you like this character. Like, talking about Lanfear, like the entire season she's like,
she was fantastic, she was so good. Yeah, Maria, what do you think
About what?
I don't just about about her question about like for a non like a just a viewer of the show, like is it clear where those main characters are headed, or like are there stakes
This is
for
hard
them?
for me to answer. I watch with my son.
Yeah.
I mean, today when I was rewatching the finale, my husband walks in and says, "What the hell is that?" And I was like, "The Wheel of Time."
The Wheel of Time. It's the Wheel of Time, bro.
And I talk. I have friends who are watching. Most of my knitting group is watching it, and I have other friends that are watching it who have not read the books, and a lot of times they're confused and ask me questions, and I try and help them, but I'm coming from such a different place than they are. It's kind of hard to help.
But I think that's Maria. I think to your point though, not to your point, but to make a point of something you said, that is one of the things that's problematic, is that you sometimes need a book interpreter for some of these things. A lot of what's represented on TV or on the show is visually stunning. It's kind of
well acted.
It's absolutely well acted. There's no doubt there. But there are some times where you're just kind of like, and like, why is this guy walking around with whatever the hell that is? Like, why is it like there's certain things are happening? Like,
you mean the vase?
The vase, first off.
Vase.
You fucking pedantic piece of shit.
Look at it.
But like
looks so good as a horn.
But like, there are certain things that like need to have an explanation, and that's not necessarily good, especially considering the fact that, like, no offense, there's 14 books, a prequel, another thing, and a billion pieces of like surrounding textuality. Like, that's not a word, by the way, textuality. But
yes, it is.
To have explanations for it, like there's no reason you should be confused on what's happening. There's ways to do it.
Just from a viewer standpoint, you mean?
So that's kind of a frustration.
Did you just say like people watching the Wheel of Time in a visual format should never be confused? I mean, why wouldn't you be confused about like the One Power and Mirror Worlds and
No, yeah, you should definitely be confused.
And, like, you should be able to watch it and gain enough understanding from like, oh, okay.
To the original question's point, though, I mean, I think the stakes for the main characters should be clear. That being said, I don't think they've spelled out who the main characters are very well.
Well, hold on, I got drunk. Okay.
There's 7 of them, right?
Yeah, there's 7 main questions. Yeah,
and that's
I mean, if you're just watching the show, you might just be like, I think it's Moraine. Rand, I guess. Like, I don't know.
I'm fine with Moraine being a main character, because she's definitely something that she's an amazing actress. I think making her fit a little more into the narrative, though, not at the detriment of others or Lan or her. But another character that I think they've done a great job with, Paden Fane. I think the actor himself, every time I see Paden Fane, I don't agree with everything he's doing. The man creeps the shit out of me, and he's amazing. Like if I saw the guy, like, yeah, I want to make a deal with you. Actually, you know what? I don't know if I want to do that. Like, I may have just gotten. Like,
no, I'm pretty sure you're the devil.
Yeah. I absolutely think he's just incredible.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm still confused by both of your assertions that you're confused about who the main characters are, and that this should be really easy to understand. Like, I don't think the Wheel of Time is easy. I don't think that. I think the general concept here, people understand where they're going with certain characters, is not something you like. Yeah, you don't know exactly what's going to happen next, but like I don't know.
You're
I
right.
don't know
All the
why
main
you-
characters aside from Moraine and Lan are standing on the top of that tower at the end.
I'm just saying, like,
So, I mean,
they
it's pretty
are.
clear.
You know who they. And then the secondary characters they go to, and they're like Kara Karn, and you see Loyal, and then you see Moraine.
Are
and
all
Lan on the
standing
beach,
below,
you know?
looking up. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I agree. Like, there are parts
said
where you're
it.
like, you wish it was easier to understand, and so
Yeah.
maybe I'm not a writer, so I don't know. Like, from a critiquing standpoint, maybe they could have done a better job of like including some of that stuff that would make it more clear. But like when you're dealing with like the true power, and then you have like immortality, like how do you explain what happened to Lanfear? Like, I didn't even understand what that. Like, I didn't notice the first time I watched it that like the clothes had been like sewn back up, and that was like almost like rewinding time. Like, and if somebody had asked me,
I
like,
didn't notice that either.
explain what happened, and I've been reading these books for like 30 years, I've been like, I think this is what they're going for, which is like true power does some kind of version of balefire to, and gives immortality to people. So I don't know. I think you're right. I think there are confusing parts. I'm confused about some things, and so maybe that indicates they're doing it bad. I don't know.
So a couple things, obviously. One, everything that Joe and I say has no ground in reality. Let's start with that, right? Like this show is, you can probably like do a quick juxtaposition us now versus an hour and a half ago. Hour and a half ago. We started an hour and a half ago. The amount of
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty consistent.
Yeah, well, somehow just like we get blasted. We don't
Consistently
remember
wrong.
but yeah, so we're drunks. So I'm sure there are many things to quibble upon. Secondly, I agree with you. But Joe's a drunk. Joe, any thoughts? Nope, he's on mute. He agrees. I think that to me, there's so much here to love, and there's so much here to be annoyed with, and it really depends upon really like certain parts of like what episode you just watch, and where you are. Like as far as like, because to me, at least once a year, I want to reread I, the World. I want to start and I'm slowly just kind of constantly just reading another book. Up next will be book 3. Maria, when did you start editing, by the way? Which book was it?
Book 8.
4 or 5?
Oh, I was gonna say 7.
It may have been 7, yeah.
I was close.
I started working for Jim when he was working on book 7, but he would not let me help because he did not want to spoil me.
Ah, okay.
Then
And
by
then
book
how-
8, by book
Oh.
8, he had given me a bunch of notes to organize, and I was so freaking spoiled. So
Yeah.
That has to be like one of the most like what
It's
if.
like I'll hold this off for 6 months or so, but
Yeah.
after that, it's gonna be a floodgate.
So I'm constantly somewhere in a reread or considering a reread, and that probably explains a lot of my just kind of this is what the book should be or this is what the show should be kind of thing. And it's absolutely impossible, of course, to do a full faithful adaptation. I get that. Maria, your thoughts? What's the best glass of wine that you're going to have later tonight? Once you hang up on this, you think?
Oh, pretty much as soon as I hang up, I'm be going to bed because,
late.
I get up at 5 o'clock. So
AM or PM?
AM.
Good answer. Okay. Just
PM,
making sure.
PM.
Yeah. Because Joe's going to wake up at 2 a.m. because his kid's going to wake him up. Good night, Grayson.
No.
Yeah, I've lost plot. Someone help.
I would say this. I think you're right that
Jono,
it depends on what you love or what you don't like. What is your favorite thing, and how is it represented in the show?
Yeah.
Just in the same way with the books, there are chapters where you might be like, I don't want to listen to this story about this character. This is the character I want to get to. I feel the same thing in the season. There's characters that I just connect with, and then others I'm like, that's fine. So I think how you feel as a book fan after season 2, some probably has somewhat to do with how you feel like they portrayed the thing that you love, about the books and about certain characters, and if you think they did a good job or not. So that'll probably be consistent throughout the seasons as we go.
Yeah, because it's going to be different. I think it's fun overall. I mean, admittedly, in episode 3, I said some very sweary words, and why did they do that? And I don't know if I'm going to watch anymore. And then they fixed it in season 8. So, I mean, it's episode 8. So,
I mean, I first off, fair, and I'm glad that you can be like honest about that, because I have had the same issue, right? I still feel, I'll never forget yelling at my wife because of the show, not the other stuff. Because of watching Nynaeve's testing and the way it ended while she was apparently still in the ter'angreal. The way it ended there, I was like, I watched it as it came out pretty much, and I was like, what the hell is this? And then you start the next episode and you're like, oh, no. I need to apologize. I'm sure our attorneys will be okay with what we've done or what I've done. I apologize. And she brought me back into the house, and I'm glad of that. So it's, again, the show can do a lot of very interesting things to you. Oh, poor Hopper.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hopper.
Jono.
Yeah.
I mean, Hopper did a great job.
Hopper was fabulous.
Hopper was fabulous.
And I know there were a lot of people very nervous anytime Hopper was shown
Jesus.
earlier. It's like, is something bad going to happen to Hopper?
Yes. Yeah,
No.
I mean, no offense, it kind of has to for Perrin.
But when
Like,
he soared up,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, that was cool.
Um.
Some really good moments there.
Uno was my big thing. So
What do you mean
I
by
had
that?
some Uno.
I love the dude, Guy Roberts.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely fabulous.
He's
Yeah.
the best.
Yeah, he did a great job.
Yeah. Fantastic actor. Fantastic yeller of obscenities too, which is quite a
Yeah. And a long
That
time
matters.
real-time fan.
yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wonderful guy. Joe, what else we have here? Because otherwise, I'm just gonna start yelling obscenities myself, and I'm not nearly as cultured and clever as he is.
I don't know. I mean, I think that's tWoTcast for this week. I guess we gotta let these nice guests go, and call it a night. I think.
Well, then
I'm
let's
getting old.
serenade and compliment our guests.
Oh,
Matt,
yeah.
I want you to know that I think that you're one of the most eloquent people I know. The way that you, apparently soberly, and I don't understand that, you navigate yourself into that conversation. You're fucking fantastic, dude. Love having you on all the time. It's probably the best for your sake that you don't have us on often. More so but we appreciate you, man.
I appreciate that. Yeah. I again.
I think you're okay.
Yeah.
When Joe said, "Do you want to come on the show?" I was like, "I'm not sure if I have time." And then he was like, "Maria's going to be on," and then I was like, "Yes."
All right.
I wish
I'll
they'd
bet.
let us play that game again.
No, you guys are
Is that-
awesome. Thank you
the
very much for
taboo?
having us on.
Oh, you want to play
Oh,
Taboo
Maria, we
again?
can play Taboo
Twat
again.
Boo?
Well, we were partners at Con that year, and it was a lot
Yeah.
of fun, and we did very well.
Of course
So
you
that-
did. Read each other's minds like illegally.
Everyone should come to Jordan Con. I assume Maria will be there. I assume Matt will be there. Come to Jordan Con. We somehow rope these very fine, much finer people than we will ever be. People, and we do taboo.
Yeah,
And somehow, despite the name, it's never what you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
It's all sexual.
Well, thanks for coming on, Maria. Thank you for being on. As always, we love you to death, and you're the best.
Love you
Cheers.
guys.
Love you, Maria.
Awesome with awesome sauce.
Thank you. Thank you so much for acknowledging Joe's awesome sauce.
All right, well, join us. Join us next episode for more Wheel of Time, covering I don't know what we're doing between now and January. Who knows? What a holiday is coming up. More Wheel of Time, season 2 stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta watch some Home Alone for the holidays. That's gonna happen.
Bye.
Got a lot of stuff on our calendar.
Yeah.
tWoTcast season 2.
tWoTcast, yeah, that's starting soon. Also, Maria, you do realize that Home Alone may be is the greatest movie of all time, right?
It's very possible.
Home Alone?
Yes.
No.
Okay. All right. So you're a Home Alone 2 fan, and I appreciate.
No. I
Is that it?
like
Lost
one
in
of
New
my
York.
favorite movies ever earlier, The Princess Bride.
Okay.
So-
Yeah. Fair.
Good choice.
And
Not
that's
Christmas, but
kind
okay.
of a Home Alone vibe. So that makes
Christmas movies, Die Hard.
Oh, okay. That's exactly.
Oh yeah, there you go.
We have done Die Hard.
And we've done Die Hard.
Die Hard is really, if you listen to certain interviews that never happened, they acknowledge the fact that Home Alone really is Die Hard done by a child.
I mean, it's Die Hard's like in a grown-up Home Alone.
Yeah.
He sets a bunch of traps in a building. There's bad guys there.
Yeah.
You know,
Interviews that
it's
never
basically Home
happened.
Alone.
Yeah.
Oh, I just remembered. I do like Home Alone too.
Anyway.
It has Tim Curry's in it.
Yeah.
Oh, you do.
Tim Curry's phenomenal.
Tim Curry,
in
I
Home
would
Alone
Tim
2.
Curry is absolutely fabulous.
Cedric, don't count your tips and habits. Yeah.
I was like, let's end this, and she's like, Home Alone 2. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm back in.
Oh, yeah.
I'm back in. That's tWoTcast for this week. Oh, is it Quest or Cast? I forget.
tWoTcast. Yeah. You forget
Quest
the
is
name
cool.
of the show.
Oh,
tWoTcast is
Cast.
great.
All right, tWoTcast. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
tWoTquest is in January. I got that wrong. I'm Joe. Say goodnight, Jono.
Good night, Jono.
Keep the change, you filthy
Thank you to our
animals.
Among the first to start, the tWoTcast was so smart to lovingly bash our favorite books. But that was long ago, and now they've grown the show, and now they got us in their hooks. Don't throw coins to these bastards, they need bars of gold at least. Someone please keep them afloat. Now let's listen as they once again ramble through a book. Let's get a fucking quote. One of them is Tom, but he is barely on. Sometimes he calls into the show. Another one is Jono. Is he their joker? Oh no. And Joe, is he the stupid one? Welcome to the tWoT, 'cause we will share our love for books and all our hate in every episode. We'll entertain you, make you laugh so hard you barely can stand up. That is the tWoTcast goal.